Good evening, everyone. It's Christy here again, the Queen Bee of Savings. And if you watch my makeup segment, the first one, we talked about foundation, primer, and finishing powder. So that's what I have on right now. So today, we're going to talk about blushes. And I have 3 different types of blushes that I use. The most common that I use is your typical compact type blush in a cake form. And this is also by Tarte. I know I told you in the previous video in segment 1 that Tarte is one of my favorite lines. And this is the Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. And this happens to be the color Pampered. Now, I really like using the Amazonian Clay blushes by Tarte. I think they have great colors. They have a ton to choose from. Relatively speaking, they're not that expensive compared to the size. And they're easy to apply. So the thing about blush that's very important is like I mentioned before, no matter what you're doing with your makeup, the brush you use is extremely important. So I always use this angled brush, which is called the large angled brush. And I got this in my glossy box, I think in February, maybe March, and I have used this every day since. I love this brush. So I just swirl it a little bit. I always smile when I put on my blush. And just sweep it on. You want to make sure you get it on the apple of your cheeks. I, for one, do not like a real heavy blush look. I like just enough to look like I have a little color and blend it in, and then I'm good. So this is the most common type of blush that I use and the most common brand. Now, Tarte also has another type of blush that I use a lot as well, just not as much as the compact. And this is what it looks like. See, it says Tarte, and this is a cheek stain. So you can twist it up. You see that color? And it's a stain. And I love it. Now, you don't want to apply it with your fingers because it will stain your fingers and you'll go to work with this stuff all over your hands. Believe me, I've done it. Tried to wash it off. It lasts. So, which is a good thing. But what you do is you just dab it a little bit on your cheeks. Now, I am going to use my fingers tonight for purposes of the demonstration, but then what you'd want to do is use like one of your cosmetic, the little cotton things with cosmetic sponges, and then you can just blend the stain in, and it's such a great looking blush. I really, really like it. So that's another one that I use. A third type that I use, and this is by Josie Maran, and all of her products have argan oil, and this is called Argan Infinity Lip and Cheek Creamy Oil. So you can use this on your lips or your cheeks as a blush. And this is kind of the same concept. It's more of a stain, but I'm not going to put this on my cheeks because I have the other kind already. But if you see, squeeze just a little. It's a little bit of oil. See that? And then you can just apply that on. These work really well too, and they last a long time because it's more of the stain instead of the powder. So that is my blush routine. Now, when I'm doing my blush, especially if it starts getting to be this time of year and I haven't been out in the sun, because I do not tan. I burn, turn red, turn white. So if I'm not I will faux tan my legs. I don't usually use it a lot on my face just because I'm afraid that it'll end up streaky or not looking right. So a lot of times I will use a bronzer. So the bronzer I have right now is by Too Faced. And the particular color is called the Chocolate Soleil. And so I will use a bronzer. You can see this one's not too dark. But what I do is just take a Buki brush, like we've already talked about with foundation. Brushes are so important when you're putting on your makeup. And I just tap it a few times. And then just put the bronzer kind of at the high spots where you would actually get sun. Don't put on too much. It will look fake. You'll look weird. You don't want to do that. But put on just enough to give you just a little bit of color. So, anyway, that is Queen Bee's blush routine. And it is the 3 different types of blush that I like to use. Now, these blushes, you can find Ulta, Sephora. Some of them you can probably find at like Macy's, Dillard's, Belk's. You will not find these at your CVS, Walmart's, or Target's, though. These do tend to be higher. As well as the Too Faced, you'll find this at Sephora and Ulta. And you'll hear me talk about Too Faced again when I do the eyeshadow segment, because I do like a lot of their eyeshadows, and I'll explain why in that segment. But thanks for watching the Queen Bee Beauty Routine Part 2. I appreciate it. Be sure to click like, share with your friends. I appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you again soon.